your participation from the very beginning. Uh, we shall start. I'm Gabriel Vartopeanu. I'm talking on behalf of AMIS, a more inclusive society Danish company. And for today, for the very beginning, hello everybody. So some rules, please, before official start. Keep your microphone, each microphone closed. And if you agree, please open the camera, video camera, as we can see each other. If you agree, I'd like to see to see you in order to identify is it good or bad. Hope not bad what I'll talk about. Just close the mobiles. Okay, so microphone closed, video opened. What I'll talk about, usually problems everywhere, usually difficulties on development, barriers against development. Starting from problems, we should be able to identify objectives. We should be able to select objectives, to decide for some of them, less or more of them, for a project strategy, and we'll be probably interested to develop business idea supporting, let's say, a business affair. So such keywords will be introduced today. We'll have the possibility to talk about which way we'll talk about this. You can see the agenda. It will be a presentation, a video presentation, a kind of lecturing. I would very much appreciate to be a training is not possible because the time allocated is not more than 2 hours. So problems, objectives, possible to select a process strategy, to discuss about strategies to work with as an entrepreneur for, let's say, about 1 hour and a half. We'll do this. And finally, we'll have a session on questions and answers. I'll try to answer to as many possible questions coming from you. So discussions, conclusions, suggestions, eventually towards future developments for about 40 minutes. That's the agenda. Hope we'll be able to keep the time on and let's say to cover all the key, let's say, words you have in front of you. What's in it for you? We consider that for beginners, let's say somebody which is not used, who is not used to work with problems, objectives, strategies, project development, project implementation. For such people, this call it vocabulary will be good to find out about. For specialists, for individuals, companies working with the projects, generally talking with financing programs, this presentation, let's say this talk discussion will be probably used in order to fundament, in order to deeply go into such topics and to identify possible ways, new ways towards sustainable development. So, starting with this, what's in it for me? A plus of experience, a possibility to expand, to develop our network at level of AMIS, a more inclusive society company in Denmark, and also at the level of European Training Center, Copenhagen, also in Denmark, in order such network to be developed, to be enlarged, in order to increase capacity towards new partnerships, towards new capacity building for, let's say, future projects to be developed by specific consortium, also to be built. So we'll start like that with the note that please questions and answers in the end of let's say our session. So in about 1.5 hours, you'll have the possibility to question me, to address questions, and I'll answer, hope, as better as possible. So let's go with next. Imagine that I was dreaming to act as an entrepreneur. Somebody would like to probably identify a project idea, somebody to identify based on such project, or vice versa, to identify a business idea. Let's suppose that I'll be the one, a dreamer, to act as entrepreneur on buildings, on this domain of houses development, to repair, to build new houses. I suppose you, me, we can be private people or a company acting as entrepreneur company, entrepreneurship to be developed. So next, starting with this dream. Next, please. Suppose that in order to follow the way from dream to reality, what I would need, what you will need as possible entrepreneur in order to develop a business company, entrepreneurship capacity to be achieved. You need it how working with the available labor force to select, to engage labor force, and to be able, when you already have the proper, suppose to have the properly identified labor force, to be able to manage such teams of skilled workers. But what kind of tools you need? You need communication capacity. Why? In order to, first of all, to talk to yourself day by day, moment by moment, to communicate also with your employees, to communicate with your clients, to communicate to the clients as beneficiaries, to communicate with all the stakeholders, public administration to support you, other business companies, non-governmental organizations to be in a network with you, people, different institutions, and so on. So to communicate, it's a need. To team building, let's say, approach, to be able to work in a team. So team building, team working, also are the tools you need to have, to develop, to increase capacity. Team building, team working again. Other need, necessary need for you as an entrepreneur is to be able to work how efficiently with project cycle management, with project management. The difference between project cycle management, respectively, project management, you should know it, or if not, we can talk about simply project cycle management is the tool offering to you all the necessary vocabulary, knowledge, and skills in order to respond to the question, how to build, to write an application form, how to develop the business idea or a project idea into a written project application, to fulfill an application form in order to request funds, to ask for funds. Project management comes later on, after you already signed the financial contract, and when you have to start the implementation of the project. So capacity to manage, to work with project management, to administrate the resources, human material resources, necessary resources to implement a very specific project. So that's need assessment. What kind of capacities you need as an entrepreneur. The idea is that by this discussion, I want to link some topics as entrepreneurship, communication capacity, team building, team working capacity, and all these based on project cycle management, project management. So such topics to work together in order to be used by you as entrepreneur towards a sustainable entrepreneurship, let's say, engagement. Next, please. Let's talk about reality, a social economic life reality. Different European countries. So you can see that I'll start with the countries I well know about. Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, let's say many of them ex-Soviet Union countries, where let's say there is a huge lack of skilled human resources. That's why migration of it happens, this lack of as a difficulty, as a problem, as a barrier in front of sustainable development for such countries. This lack of skilled human resources is the result of a process, migration process of really skilled labor. They go towards really developed countries as northern countries, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland. But also they go, such skilled people migrate towards United Kingdom, towards France, Italy. So this process is a continuous process. And because of that, the level of development is not balanced between, let's call them rich countries, powerful as economies countries, and not so powerful countries as the ones mentioned before. Ex-communist countries, calling them, or more than that, countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Morocco. You know exactly as I know that many people from there are coming in order to replace the skilled people already left towards better salaries, better lifestyle, better incomes. And it happens like that. Let's suppose that on this way, the economies of, let's say, medium countries, as I said, Romania, Poland, okay, such people will be able, by replacing the national labor force, will be able to balance somehow the economies between or comparing developed countries by not so developed countries. We'll see. Anyway, that's a big problem, lack of skilled human resources in the countries I mentioned. Also, it's good that it happens because on this way, probably, if for the moment the life standards are really high in northern countries, in UK, France, I mentioned before, on this way of migration, probably the life standards into medium developed country or underdeveloped countries, the life standards will also increase. So all these aspects, also lack of public policies, for instance, in countries already mentioned, public policies towards new job creation, this lack of public policies should be somehow solved in the future. But anyway, the reality of economic social life is exactly like this, as a comparison between European countries and non-European countries. Of interest is also an aspect related to low interest of adult labor force. we've noticed, we can say that there is a, and sorry to say, but it's reality, there is a real low interest of adult labor towards reprofessionalization, towards long life, let's say, education, professional education, towards new job perspective. There is this, let's say, mentality against adult education along life, let's say, education for adults. It's like a fashion. In developed countries, such process does exist. It's a real process of re-equipment of labor force with new capacity as knowledge and skills. It's not the same into, let's say, medium developed countries, also undeveloped countries from economic perspective, from social perspective. So these are realities. Starting from this reality, social economic reality in comparison, compared countries, European, non-European, this movement of people, especially labor force, between first mentioned countries and the developed countries, this movement of labor force, especially skilled labor force, this movement creates necessity for a real analysis on problems. What kind of problems we can discuss about, and these problems could be identified from this description of reality. Of course, what I introduced in these slides is just a summary of reality. It's just let's say, a small part of the big reality, of the large reality. So, as identified problems, in fact, what's negative, what's the meaning of aspects identifying as negative formula? These are called problems, simply non-academic way of saying. A problem is something what we have, and it's not convenient for us that we have them, we have it. So we have a problem, a healthy problem, a problem of health. We have a broken leg. This is a problem related to your health stage, your health status. We have a problem, we are not in a good relationship with the boss in the company, with my chief. This is also a problem, it's a social problem. It's not convenient for me that my relationship with the decision maker is not a good one, it's not a profession, it's not a sustainable development relationship. It is a problem that in the office, at the office, the temperature is a low temperature, and because gas is expensive, because electricity is expensive, we cannot afford as a company to have a well heated work environment, let's say, in the office. That's why this is a problem. We have a problem related to the quality of roads. We go in other countries, for instance, again, northern countries, because there is an example of a positive, let's say, reality there. Even there are bad realities also there, but in balance, such realities are in a way seen by us. Please, the microphone if possible. Mesdames et messieurs, close the microphone. Okay, and thank you.
Sorry.
So, salut, Mari. On this way, problems can see at a different stage in different environment, economic, social, country, national environments. So these are identified problems. The way we define a problem is use a negative sentence because a problem has a negative content. Again, it's something we have we consider that we don't like that we have it. It's difficult to accept that we have a problem. So we look for what? We look for solutions. So a project, in fact, you'll see later on, makes possible the transfer from negative to positive, the transfer for I don't like to, let's say, I would like to have. I don't like I have, I would like to have. I would like to have is the objective. The problem is I don't like to have this or that. So these are the problems. Low capacity of educational system, I've selected one of them. It's the most important one of the most important problems, because if the education as a system is not built, is not acting at a, let's say, consistent level, as a professional level, in order such educational system to deliver to the trainees, to the students, to deliver knowledge, but especially skills based on knowledge, such a low capacity of educational system will generate on long term not an increased economy, underdevelopment, sustainable economy, but a contrary. It will develop non-functional, let's say, staff, non-functional adults. It will develop, such system will develop, in fact, less and less capacity, low capacity of a national economy to work together in this concept of transnational economies, in the network of European Union, in the network of global market, in the network of globalization as a whole, as a unit. Again, other very important problem, important as dimension, as effects especially, low interest of adult labor towards education, towards re-education, professionally talking, towards new jobs perspective, as a lack of low-level skills, as a lack of low level of knowledge, especially when you advance as age. You'll discover that if you do not participate as possible day by day into professionalization, you'll discover that one day you'll be out of the normal society. You'll be somewhere isolated into your own, let's say, home system, home environment. And that's not so good if you look at the society as a whole. So these are the plans. We have to go and now to think in a positive way. We identify by problems negative aspects of reality, social, economic, culture, political reality. Why not? We can develop a project in the future related to political system to be increased in terms of effects and effectiveness and efficiency. But we will see. So going to let's say, to arrange these problems somehow, what we have to do to develop an analysis on existing situation. Existing situation mainly is built by problems, by difficulties, by negative aspects. An existing situation, again, could be a problem as a whole, based on many specific problems from different domains. Problems related to functionality of public administration, problems related to unfunctional or inefficient business companies, problems related to the products of business companies, goods or services. The quality of them is not so agreeable, the quality is not so acceptable for me as a client. So, in fact, an existing situation could be a problem situation itself as a problem. So, everywhere I look, I can see that I am not satisfied with the quality of, let's say, situation around me. So, I analyze the situation existing one, and, excuse me, I need some water, and we identify the problems. Next step will be already identify key problems as negative existing, let's say, stages situation. We should select them as causes and effects. There are small problems. For instance, a small problem or not, let's say, in terms of effects of them, not so important for me related to some criteria evaluation. Let's take this example in front of us. For instance, there is a problem of environment. This is just an example you have in front. I'll introduce this example to you in order to understand which way you can work with the problems, which way you can select them, which way you can, let's say, locate these problems in terms of cause and effect, causes and effects. So look at this, river water quality is under deterioration process. Bad. This is in many localities, especially those localities connected to small rivers at the countryside. This is a huge problem. Why? Because such problem could be seen as a main problem for a community, can create huge damages related to local community, social, economic life. This main problem can create as an effect impossibility to go for fish in the future, or smaller catch for fishing activity. Okay, also because the quality of the water in the river, the water can't be used as a raw material for agriculture environment, for agriculture companies surrounding or riverine to this river, and so on. So this is just an example which way you can locate the problems into the so-called problems tree. Going back, please, if possible, to go back to problems identified. Okay, going back to these problems, we can also build, based on the example before you've seen, we can build the problems tree. The problems tree, for instance, in this case, selected by us before, the problems tree could have, for instance, a main problem, lack of skilled human resources into, let's say, medium developed countries. We discussed like this before. So this lack of skilled human resources will generate as effect, for instance, no jobs to be met, no acceptance for new jobs because of lack of skilled human resources. Low level of salaries. If you are not skilled enough, nobody will pay you more and more. So level of salary is low. Low level of life because of salary. Your life, your individual life, your family life is a low one. As in terms of quality. Also, business companies will decrease in terms of quantity, in terms of number of business companies, because if no, let's say, skilled people, business company do not have at the disposal capacity to identify, to select skilled human resources, skilled labor. Bigger problems could be low level of development, social, economic, cultural development at national level. So, in fact, the sustainable development for a country where such problem does exist lack of skilled human resources, the level of sustainable development for such a country is decreasing. And in this competition, EU country competition, global competition, globally talking, competition among countries, the position of a national country, the position of such country is lower and lower. Also, low access in the so-called club countries, high level of countries in a specific, let's say, very licensed club. Also, a bad reputation of such country, again, I insist, bad reputation of such country into the concept of the most developed country globally talking. So this is a way to see the problems. I don't insist with this. The idea is that you already, let's suppose, identify a businessman, an entrepreneur, identify the problems around. Again, an entrepreneur identifying problems related to human resources, to investment capacity, to network to participate in for such company, problems related with the understanding or non-understanding in terms of communication inside of the company. So such problems can be located in a correct way in a problems tree. You have the example in front of you. Now we can go to to objectives. Identified objectives. And what I want to introduce to you, a technique. Which way was the technique, was the method to go from negative aspect into a positive aspect, from a problem to an objective? Because in fact, a broken leg is a problem. It's just a very simple example for each of us. Broken leg is a problem. Was the objective? A functional leg for you. A functional or a human being able to feel healthy. Before you have had a broken leg, your healthy or health status was a bad one. That means problem. A better status of your health, you feel healthy, this is the objective. So just in retroverse, negative to positive, you define from problem, you define an objective. The problem is the expression of a negative aspect in your life, doesn't matter, economic, social, cultural, political, everything, okay? Every kind of domains. And the objective is just by reformulation, the positive aspect. What was negative before, now after reformulation, after rephrasing in a positive way, this is an objective. It's just a technique. Why I insist with this? Because I've noticed also working with students into the university, working also in public administration as a public servant, as a civil servant, also working in different with different NGOs where different people are employed in order to produce services or to create networking and to add value to the civil society. So everywhere I met people, sometimes in a difficulty to respond to the question, what's the difference between a problem and objective? Which way you define, you identify a problem, and what's the way to formulate, to rephrase into an objective? Simply, just go from negative to positive aspects and give the right definition. So, low level of life standards into mentioned before countries, that's the problem. The objective is improved or satisfying level of life standards into the same countries. So simply just look in front of you, improved standards of daily life in poor and developed countries. This is an objective. Added labor force interested towards reprofessionalization, towards long life learning by vocational, let's say, training. Again, interested labor force towards new jobs. This is an objective. Simply the best an objective should be, because I mentioned before, should be formulated SMART. SMART is a concept. It's an acronym from specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timetable. Means that an objective has to be, it's a must, has to be specific to whom? To a project, specific to a very specific defined domain. So specificity of an objective is part of being smart. B, define a specific objective. Next. Measurable, meaning that according to indicators, for instance, river water quality improved. This is a very main objective for an objective stream related to environment protection. What you have in front of you is a tree of objectives, which can be the substance for a future project towards sustainable environment development or status. So again, this objective, very specific objective, the main objective of this objectives tree, river water quality improved, can be specific. I said it's specific to such an environment initiative protection. Is measurable. Why? Because we can introduce here measurable meaning such quality criteria to measure the measurability without pleonasm of this objective. So river water quality can be, as a measurable objective, can be accompanied by an indicator of quality. For instance, the quality of water in terms of ingredients of content could be improved. The quality can be improved by 10% in 2025, in 2025 can be improved the quality by 10% by comparison with the actual quality in 2021. So again, specific measurable to specificities of a smart objective. A comes from achievable. Is it possible to achieve such objective? River water quality improved? Yes, it is possible. Why? Because in 25, as I said before, somebody with a specific tool to measure water quality will come, will take some samples of water samples, and it can be proved that the objective, it was achieved. 10% better quality by in 25 by comparison with the quality in 21. This here. We are in 22, 23, sorry, 25, excuse me. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic. It's realistic. It means that if it's achieved, corresponding to reality, is for real, this quality improved of water in 2 years from now, it's a realistic objective, because some specific water treatment plants could be located along with the river, and on this way, or other treatments, specific treatments in stuff of quality can be developed. So it's realistic to establish such an objective in order to be achieved. So it's realistic. And timetable, I already said before that in 2 years from now, the responsible with the implementation of such objectives, between brackets. This example of objectives 3 can be in the hands in order to be implemented such objectives 3 to implement such objectives. Such objectives 3 can be in the hands, in order to be developed, in the hands of public administration. It could be an international project financed by, for instance, or based on money from a national budget. Such project could be implemented to cover, to achieve the objectives you have in front of you, especially the main objective, river water quality improve. Public administration locally or national level, if it is a river as Danube in Romania, such project could be in the hands of national public administration, meaning the Agency for Environment Protection could develop such a project in order to achieve, to make possible the achievement of the smart objective called river water quality improvement. I hope it was not too much talk around this, but it was an example I have had in mind. So we can go now, if you accept, and please, again, if some questions will be for each of you available questions, just note them, and finally we can talk about. I'm ready and I'd like very much to answer your questions. So we can go with strategy. Why strategy? Again, many times in private discussion, official discussions, everywhere, I've noticed that such question, what's your strategy for future? Which way you build a strategy? I'm talking especially about a project strategy. What do you mean by a strategy? Such questions sometimes for different people are difficult in terms of correct, right answer or answers. So a strategy, in fact, can be seen as a building, as a product able to be achieved after an analysis of what? Of objectives. So let's suppose that we started with problems, we identified them as deeply as possible. Next, we formulated, we defined the objectives, really related objectives to the problems by reformulation, resentencing from negative to positive. So we have the objective. All of these objectives have already situated in an objectives 3, and now we have at our disposal the objective 3 developed as deeply as possible, covering as many as possible objectives, defined objectives. And now we have to decide what to do with these objectives. And we can decide a few of them can be as our target to be achieved, such objectives again. Some of them could be out of our focus to be achieved. Simply the best. To build a strategy means to select, to decide which projects to work with and which ones forget about. Sometimes you say like that, I will work with easy objectives for me, for my capacity to solve, to achieve, and I will forget, at least for the moment or on short term, I will forget about the others. Simply the best. The decision to select a strategy or other strategy as a summum of objectives to be achieved, the decision is based on, you can see, the capacity I have in terms of money, of human resources to use, to work with, in terms of interest of population, social acceptability, in terms of policy priorities, in terms of public policy, if there existing one, if such policies does exist. In terms of support of local authorities, it's part of social acceptability. In terms of interest of the population related to these specific, to these objectives already selected. So we discussed about a strategy as a summum of objectives to work with, to, let's say, to be the raw material for a future project. I'd like now to introduce to you, in order to avoid misunderstandings, I'd like to introduce what's a project. We can have the next, it's 12. Okay. Project application form. In fact, in order to work with some projects, to make them accomplished, to meet the project, let's say, stage, consider that the project is a way to go from this stage of problems, negative stage, to this way of objectives, a positive stage. A positive stage of objectives, in fact, is the target, is the one where the project is focused. What's the project in terms of project cycle management? I am talking now a project application form fulfilled. All the information is in the application form. Which way? An application form is a document where work packages, project activities can be introduced, described as deeply as possible, in the described and formulated, developed, related to the stakeholders identified. Stakeholders are coming from public administration, from civil society, from business companies, partners from everywhere, individuals, all of them are stakeholders. Somebody who's interested into the project to be implemented, doesn't matter successfully or not successfully. Imagine that a mayor in a local community probably is not interested to solve the problems with the river in the Riviera of the community. Why? Because he has a factory of, let's say, of garbage collection, something like that, and he's interested to keep the river as it is, because time to time the river is the collector of garbage for him. And for him, it's easy just to go there to collect the garbage already collected, to take the garbage already collected by the river. Of course, it's a fantasy. I imagine such a perspective, but it can be done. Or more than that, somebody is not interested to solve the problems with the forest around, because he's interested in hunting, and that's why he'll not be interested that the public administration will put some barriers on the road to stop the access of different people into the forest, people coming for hunting. I've just imagined some examples. So again, we start with the application form to identify those activities, work packages, activities, responsive to the identified stakeholders in order to meet their interests, their expectations. Such activities will produce what? Results. There are two categories of results: outputs, outcomes. Outcomes is related to knowledge. Outputs related to goods and services produced, something in a very physical way. Outputs. Outcome is related to knowledge, to information you get, to level of understanding in terms of, let's say, info collection you get along with the project. Again, we have to meet in the application form the target groups to whom a project as application form is addressing. Who are the beneficiaries? Public, private beneficiaries, civil society in large, and so on. A project is written in the application form, has to be implemented, developed along with the time period. That means implementation time of the project. The budget time you have at your disposal, 24 months, 36 months for bigger projects. Such implementation time in order to develop physically in practice activities proposed by the project. A project needs resources, budget resources. So there are two categories of resources. Let's say human resources and material resources. Time is a resource for the project, is a material resource. Money is a material resource. By comparison, human resources involved, doesn't matter, we are talking about project team. We are talking about different stakeholders involved in project activities implementation. We are talking about resources. So budget is a need. A budget could be also composed by money received or requested to a financing program plus money in co-financing. Co-financing could be in two kinds of co-financing. Co-financing in cash or co-financing in nature. Again, we should take care about implementation schedule, which way the project activities are developed along with the time, let's say, budget of the project. So implementation schedule, that so-called Gantt diagram of the project. And very important, in order to get financial support from a financing program, an application form will be evaluated based on very specific evaluation criteria. And now, please accept, I introduce the evaluation criteria. We have the evaluation criteria, slide 14. These are the evaluation criteria. Very important is relevance. So I have decided to offer you an acronym here, REEIS. This is the acronym of very specific 5 evaluation criteria. It's so of importance to be the master of these criteria in order that when somebody, a project team, a writer of the application form, a writer team for the application form to understand these criteria in order when the application form is written step by step, each sentence there, each field of the application form should answer these criteria. But start with the first one, very important, relevance. It means that what the project, the application form has in content to be financed. So it means objectives proposed by the application form, they have to be very, let's say, correct, formulated, built according to the problem's content. Remember that we define the problems, we identify them, we define them, we created the problems tree, and by retroversion from negative to positive, we defined objectives. So These objectives, as long as the problems have been correct and deeply identified, these objectives for sure will respond to the problems solution to in fact the project will offer solution for the problems to be solved somehow. Bad quality of river water in the river, bad quality of water, this is the problem. Good quality of water in the river over the next 2 years is the objective. Good quality, it means even the water by treatment can be taken as drinking water. Of course, I exaggerate probably, but it can be done in terms of a real functional, efficient treatment plant for the river water. So relevance. Next, we discuss about effectiveness, means results to go towards the project purpose. The results will generate the project purpose. Project purpose is the main specific objective, or project aim is the main, or if there are a few project purposes, but usually could be one strong, defined, smart also, as I said. I have to make clear something. And it's important to say. Just a moment, I put some notes for myself here. An application form, please accept as a kind of summary of what we discussed now. An application form has in its content, based on problems analysis, the application form has in written, inscripted by text, has activities to be developed by the project, activities. These activities will generate results. The results for sure have to generate the achieved project purpose or aim. When the project by implementation achieved the aim, the purpose, at that moment we can say that the project contributed to a partially general objectives achievement. So simply, results, project aim or specific purpose or purposes, and general objectives, all these in fact are the objectives of the project. And now going to effectiveness, the results for sure will make possible the achievement of project purpose or aim. Again, project purpose is the main specific objective for a project. That means effectiveness. Of course, it's possible based on the assumptions which have affected the project achievements. We can talk about more and more, but no time for this. For the moment, it's okay. I believe it's enough like that. Next criteria is efficiency. Which way the objectives have been achieved by reasonable cost, simply the best. To accomplish the objectives by project implementation at the correct cost. If no extra costs for a project implementation, if it's not like that, no extra cost, it means that the project has been implemented in an efficient way. That's efficiency. Important, impact, the other criteria, next criteria, is in fact, impact is covering from activities to results, to project purpose, to general objectives. That's the impact. It means a project has impact related to the environment where the project is implemented, when the contribution of the project is related to sectoral or large objectives accomplishment. It means if the project is contributing to project's overall objectives, let's say in a part achievement, it means that the project has impact. Simply the best. If the river will be better treated, if the human resources will be better skilled, really skilled, the general objective, for instance, high level of life in Bulgaria will be achieved in 10 years, in 5 years, in 7 years. If the public roads, damaged public roads in 10 years, in an environment, regional environment, will be solved in terms of better roads, of, let's say, motorway roads already built and functional, if it happens, it means that better life could come in 10 years for the same community, regional level. It means impact. And also the quality of life is higher. It means that the business flourished. It means that many business companies have been set up and more jobs have been created. It means better salaries for everybody related to such a network of roads. That's impact. And now the last one, sustainability. Everybody is talking about sustainable development. Into Romanian language, durability, dezvoltare durabilă. Almost everywhere I heard about sustainability, something to be developed in a sustainable way. If you build a house and you took money from green investments program to equip the house with solar panels in order to be free of costs related to electricity producing, it means that you developed a project, a sustainable project. Why? Because the benefits of this investment into electric panel, solar panels, if you invest in this investment project is an example of sustainability development. Why? Because the benefits will flow long-term after, let's say, the financial support ending. So if the benefits, project benefits, will continue to exist, to be produced after support in resources for such project, so when the project is ended and after project ending, the benefits will continue to exist, to be produced, that's the meaning of sustainability of a project sustainability. So these are the evaluation criteria we talked about, and it seems that we are really in time with what we have had to talk about 1 hour and 8 minutes, something like that, about 1 hour since we started. I'd like also to introduce and thank you, Eric, for this innovation and technology transfer. This is a slide I very much like, and I decided to introduce to you. It was a slide, and thank you to Eric Haubro, the Chief Executive Officer of ABIS of TCC. Thank you for this slide. In my opinion, this is a very representative slide as content to be shown to you. We can talk about best practice examples. You've seen before such examples of objectives 3, of problems 3, as the example related to river water quality. Those examples. 3 objectives, problems 3, objectives 3. So these are practice examples, but there is a risk when you want to work based only or in principle based on practice examples. What's the risk? You are tempted, there is a temptation to focus on only one solution, on some types of solutions. It's like thinking in box thinking. When you work based on already known solutions, because the temptation is you are tempted to apply the same, let's say, like routine examples, to work with them. You are not open on this way. That's the risk. You are not open towards innovative, towards new solutions, towards being creative. And the society, especially the actual one, makes a real selection between out-of-box thinking and in-box thinking people. Again, other risk, not being clear related to social economic context because of the best practice examples. You are still tempted to stay with your knowledge and understanding of realities, to stay on, don't move a step, just to keep what you have learned to work with, to stay there, and this fear could come not apply for a new, let's say, approach. Just stay with your routine approaches, habits, attitude. And again, the risk, or it's a reality that best practice examples, it is a reality, are located in the past. So because of these practice examples, the temptation is to stay in the past. The idea is that try to change your attitude, your behavior, your mentality towards future. Past is there, keep it as it is, as possible, just to learn what was good, what was bad, but your mentality, your creativity should go only related, just let's look at the future. Let's take the future as the new reality, the new coming reality, and act in order to develop something in a very sustainable, and again, to be relevant, to be efficient, to generate impact, and to create sustainable development. And to act like that means that there is a real need towards thinking out of box, towards thinking in a smart way. Again, the SMART concept related to objectives. And for sure, IT and technology transfer will be the solutions future-oriented. That means sustainability, long-term development in a very sustainable way. That's it. Related to best practice examples, keep them or not, think for the future, that's, let's say, the conclusion. Think towards the future, look at the future. And now, friends, please be open, and I'm at your disposal. Shoot me, try to come with questions, with what you consider to be said. Please have a say. We are at your disposal. I'm at your disposal. That I'll be pleased to answer, especially that it means we moved enough fast, I hope, by substance movement. And we have at our disposal about 40 minutes, no, 45 minutes, more than it was expected. So I'm yours. Please, you can open the microphone, and I'd like to see you, if possible. You motivate me to answer. I hope relevant answers to come to you. Thank you anyway for your patience. How many we are now? We started about 22, Eric, you said? Can you hear?
We are still 21.
Oh, that's good.
But it has been down to 19, 18, and up again So
Okay.
probably somebody need the bathroom.
All right. Okay, I'm at your disposal. Please come with questions, with comments. If no questions, it means that what I've discussed about it was not relevant. Maybe no impact to you. I hope not. I hope the impact was at home. Chiara, are you with us?
Yes, of course. Was
Please.
everything was very clear to me, actually. Oh,
Very clear.
congratulations.
You are nice as usual. Thank you a lot. But some questions you should have because you are a professional. Please,
To me, I think it's not a question, it's just a thought. It's very difficult to go out from the comfort zone when we have to find new solutions, new approaches, what you were talking about, you know.
Yes.
It's always difficult to think about new solutions or to have creativity. It's not always simple.
Do you have a solution for this? This is a problem for you. Somehow you
Yes, this is
formulate
a
it as
problem for me. So we have
But
to find
do you have in mind any possible solutions to this? I can offer.
Yeah.
I can offer because you motivated me. First of all, work in a team where there are 2, 3, 4, 5 minds together. If there are a few persons with different capacity of thinking, of identifying problems and offering solutions by objectives, so for sure the solution will come by itself. So one answer towards your problem as an objective, it should be functional, efficient team working process. An efficient team working process. This is one solution. Other solution is learning by doing day by day. I'm exaggerating, of course, but it should be a possibility. Communicate in an efficient way about communication capacity. Communicate. I have this, and please ask your friends, your colleagues, your team working, let's say, companions. Please, I have this. Can you offer something to me in terms of a solution? So solutions are every time. So communicate better. Team working in a very efficient way as possible. Yeah. Try to look for project cycle management as a tool, to see it as a tool in order to have a logic approach based cause-effect approach. And on this way, your entrepreneurship capacity will be for sure improved. Entrepreneurship towards problems, solutions to be identified. It could be a possible, let's say, answer to your way of thinking or to your thoughts mentioned before, Chiara.
I think it's a precious answer because actually what you said is really, really important. Team working is necessary.
Yes.
It's absolutely necessary. And it's necessary to purchase it in a very efficient way. Otherwise, we find ourselves in a team working with lots of ideas that are not, that cannot become, concrete. So
Because
it's very important.
Sometimes they are formulated in not a smart way. It means that not achievable, not realistic. We can develop ideas, but as long as the idea in terms of objectives is not formulated in an achievable, realistic way, let's say the solutions will not come. It means those objectives formulated in a non-smart way will not be achieved. It could be a discussion on this, of course. So, Chiara, you motivated us to talk.
Thank you.
But
thank you for your answer.
Thank you, Chiara. Thank you a lot. So, please, we are here. Despoina, please be welcome. open the
Yes,
microphone.
yes, thank you. Thank you for an excellent presentation. To go back to your example about the construction company and the dream that someone wanted to be entrepreneur and build
Exactly.
houses. Suppose that this person cannot find employees and needs to solve this problem. In the first step, and in the second step, this person, and to become entrepreneur, needs to get some funding.
Yes.
What is your advice on this, please? How to act? What to do?
Simply, for finding, there are, in order to identify the proper funds to work with, a solution can be to ask for somebody who's, let's say, used to work as a fund identifier person by writing application forms. Somebody, so to look for somebody talking to you, you express your problem, lack of skilled persons into your company or for the future for a new company, and he will advise, as long as he understood in details your problems you are confronted with, he will be able to advise you as a consultant what to do, or together with him or you by yourself, you should together or by yourself to try to, first of all, to identify financing programs for training related human resources. Or you can identify, it could be another solution, you can identify, for instance, somebody with capacity, investment capacity, and you can go into a partnership with him. You can co-finance the project in, for instance, in kind, with the building, with some, let's say, location resources, and together we can start. This could be a super solution. You can start together to develop, to set up a training center for skilled labor, meaning a training center where specific people can be trained, meaning simply a training center where carpenters, metal workers, IT people, different other categories of skilled people can be trained professionally, vocationally, in order to be the skilled resource for future business of you, for future businesses of other people you know, and so on. The money could come if the application form is written in a very relevant, efficient, sustainable perspective way. If such application will be written corresponding or responding to the evaluation criteria, such application form could offer to you 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million euro to set up a training center, training company on VET, vocational education training for labor. And on this way, you can have, of course, in a number of years, in 3 years, for instance, if it's a strong project with the budget, as I said, you can develop, let's say, the machinery to produce, in terms of outcomes, to produce the proper trained, skilled labor to answer to the market needs in terms of human resources developed, sustainable developed. And the training center itself can act in a very sustainable way, based on the first money, the budget of the project received from the financing program, and also later on, based on itself money produced by training sessions offered, sell to the clients, different clients, companies coming to you and asking for training sessions for specific categories of staff. It could be a possibility. Or you can ask your grandmother to, really sorry, I hope you accept the joke, to sponsor you with this 2 million euro in order to build your own training center. Or you can ask European Training Center or AMIS to write an application form for you. This is another solution. No, now it's very simple.
Exactly. This was what I was thinking. It would be helpful that this entrepreneur, wannabe entrepreneur, would be able to write how to say project plan and present it to the bank, perhaps, or to a potential investor. Of course, if you talk with your grandmother, you don't need to have any plan. Just ask,
You see,
go to her and say,
you just
yeah.
selected the mixture of possibilities.
So what I understand is that one can ask AMIS to help with the plan, with writing the project plan.
Yeah, in fact, we do not talk about project plan. We talk about a project application form to be fulfilled by AMIS or European Training Center. Each of them could contribute to, let's say, fulfillment in the application form. The idea is that you should be the one offering a project summary, meaning the project purpose, what you want it, and or with our help, with AMIS help, you can together in a team working process. You can develop, let's say, a project summary, a project concept. What's the purpose, or which are the specific objectives of such project by application form? What kind of outcomes you are expecting for? How long would you like to be implemented this project in case when the application form fulfilled will be evaluated and the money, financial support will be achieved? Who are the beneficiaries, potential beneficiaries? Who is the target group working with? All this information, a possible draft budget can be, let's say, decided, can be promoted, draft budget for such investment, because we are talking about an investment project, an application form fulfilled, submitted in order to get the right financial support. Finally, with such financial support and with resources, human resources support as a team project team, such investment could be finally able to be set up. The building will be already developed in 3 years, equipped with logistic and human resources appropriated, trainers, specialists, marketing people, other service suppliers, resources. So equipped everything such center needs. And on this way, the training center will become functional. Which way? In a very efficient way and related to sustainable development. It means that this training center will be able to produce and sell, most important, to sell services and training and prepare the proper skilled human resources to respond to the market needs. And on this way, you'll become a rich person. In case on the administration, the management of this training center will be the very efficient and again, sustainable one. It could be an answer.
Yes, and my last question, when I approach, suppose that I have this brilliant idea and I approach AMIS to help me with drafting this proposal, do I need money to give them? Or, you know, how should this be done? I mean, to get some help, what does it take?
It depends. First of all, it's like in the market. You go to ask for a service. And in fact, you also ask for a product. It means the product will be the application form fulfilled, documentation written by AMIS. And it depends of the, let's say, the gravity, the dimension of this service. If we are talking about a small in terms of how long the project will be developed, how difficult it is to write the application form. Is this complicated? It is easier. You ask for €500,000. You ask by project budget, by the application form. You ask for 1.5 million. It depends of which way the application form is heavy enough in terms of consistency, in terms of content. So honestly, I cannot offer the answer to you. First of all, a project summary a project concept has to be formulated by you because you know exactly what you want. If you ask for consultancy related to which way the application form will be developed and so on. So simply, it depends on a first discussion between you as possible client beneficiary of AMIS service, right? And based on this, a discussion related with the money requests on behalf of AMIS will be taken, can be taken. Honestly, I don't know the answer, how much I have to pay, because I am not able now to measure your request. What you want for is just an idea. And you don't need an answer to an idea, you need an answer in a very practical way. So I don't know the answer, honestly, but it can be discussed. Your request can be discussed properly with AMIS team, and for sure you'll receive an offer, clear, as long as your request is clear, defined.
Mhm.
I hope I didn't disappoint you.
No, thank you very much for the answer. The question has to do with seed money to start. How can you get an idea of how much money you need to start as an entrepreneur to go out and ask for services?
I think
That
nobody will
was
be
the
able to
question, not.
answer you. I understand, because the start is also measurable. What do you mean by start? Start from where? You have any experience in this space, or you are just a beginner in terms? I have an idea. But as long as the idea is not smart dimension, is not specific, is not measured somehow, the answer can't be a specific answer to you. But there are programs, I can help you. There are programs, financing program for smart business, let's say called startup business company, startup. And in this respect, there are also centers where, let's say, the consultancy service can be offered or with no money. There are such centers, such institutions working pro start business affairs, start affairs, business starts. And such money could be included, for instance, in the programming costs. So if you apply correctly somewhere, such service can be identified. If you work with a business company, such service should be paid, consultancy service. So it depends. There are many question marks to accompany your perspective question. It's clear that for the moment, a clear answer you cannot get as long as your request is not clear defined in terms of measurability, in terms of specific, correct, fully defined request. Again, hope I answered. Anyway, thank you for question. Anyway, thank you for question. This point. So, more questions? Anyway, I have to thank you for participation. Hope it was useful for you. It was enough relevant and for future benefit to you. So, more questions? Stefanos, are you with us? Gabriel Vlăduț.
Hello, Gabi.
Hello,
Hi,
Stefan.
everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
I see you.
Can you see me now?
I hope.
I have my cam open, so I think you can see me.
You should be. Let's see. Yeah. Hi, Stefan. I can see you.
Yeah, perfect.
Glad to meet you. So,
Nice presentation. Bravo, Gabi.
you are polite as usually, but give
No,
some
I'm
bad points.
telling the truth. I'm telling the truth.
Trust Greeks, even when they come with gifts. This is a proverb in Romania. Okay, glad to meet you. Okay, Stefane. So if some questions, please.
No, I don't have any questions.
Thank you a lot. Anyway, it will come to you an evaluation form, and probably you need a few minutes to fulfill in, about 2 minutes possible.
Okay.
You can offer to evaluate this lecture in what you want to call it. Anyway, it was not training clear to me. For training, we should need space, time to learn by doing in a very correct way. Involve me and I learn. Involve me and I'll be somehow a bit more skilled as a result of such training. This was not a training, that's clear. It was just a lecture. It was just a presentation of mine presentation, and I hope with some benefits to you. So I've seen Fernando is with us. Sorry, I am very direct. Guido is also here. Diga, sorry, Toma or Fernando, if you are with us, please